Mina, we have not talked about this enough today, and I want to get as many unspooled thoughts from you as I can because we've neglected it today and we shouldn't have. Jim Harbaugh ruling all of sport in a way that gets him that job with that power out of a cheating scandal as an undefeated champion. Holy shit, what an amazing story that he wins in every way and that he and his brother are just conquerors of that sport on the pro level and on the collegiate level.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of the case study for winning solves everything, right? Because if he hadn't won with Michigan, such a different narrative today. The way we think about him leaving, I would say, like, we're barely talking about, the potential punishments and all of that. It's like, whatever he won, it's fine. They got their, it's over, it's whatever. And he's a big winner. If he hadn't won, I think that would be a pretty, and he still took the Chargers job. I think that would dominate the conversation today around it. Jim Harbaugh fleeing college football just as the hammer is about to come down or whatever. I personally don't care. I'm just saying that, his record as a winner, the fact that he's turned around so many organizations, that is now the story of his career. And I personally think he'll probably have a lot of success. We'll see something similar in Los Angeles.
Mina, but this is why I think the Cosmos are laughing at me and how cutthroat that sport is. Belichick can't get a job, and Harbaugh just got a great one with all of the power after cheating. That's unbelievable. Like, I understand. I watched it happen, so I understand. But you can understand how a lifelong journalist would be confused by Belichick has to grovel before the Falcons with 2 interviews, and they don't necessarily want him, but Harbaugh gets all the power.
Bill Belichick is coming off of 2 disastrous seasons, one of which was largely his doing in making those horrible offensive coordinator hires. So that is fresh in everyone's mind. Jim Harbaugh is coming off of turning a program around, winning a national championship. It's a what have you done for me lately league. So I actually don't find this that surprising, frankly. The other thing I'll say about Harbaugh is he has been very good at identifying coaching talent underneath him. I mean, the guy in Baltimore, Mike McDonald, in Michigan, Jesse Minter. So if I'm an owner, I'm looking at him and I'm like, this guy is very good at hiring. Bill Belichick, not so much.
Well, not only that, you just gave the real reason. When you said that list of names that comes with Belichick, all of us recoiled at all of those names.
Suicide Squad.
Oh, my God.
You're bringing in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, my God. We all recoiled at how shitty his coaching tree is.
Jim Harbaugh, as Mina outlined, has had success everywhere he's gone. He made Stanford relevant. Prior to that, when he was in college with San Diego, he turned them around. He gets to the Niners, turns them around. Then he got to Michigan, and while he did turn them around, it wasn't without its bumps in the road. In fact, if Rutgers doesn't miss a field goal kick, he might get fired. If they actually play against Ohio State in that COVID-shortened year, he might get fired. But he pulled out a win with his experience over at Michigan. Now he's back in the NFL. But one thing changed with Jim Harbaugh that I want to talk to you about. He was a great head coach for the Niners. His team loved him. When he went to Michigan, he really leaned into these weird eccentricities, and he's considered more of a goofball. And I don't know if that Jim Harbaugh plays in the NFL.
Whoa. He was a stone cold weirdo in the NFL too. Like, there's no revisionist history is happening on my watch. That dude is a truly authentically strange human being and always has been. There are so many examples from his time with the San Francisco 49ers of oddball behavior. My favorite was when he tucked in every piece of clothing into his khakis for one cold weather game. It's one of my favorite. It's an indelible image to me. He had weird beefs. You remember What's Your Deal with by the way, that my favorite thing of all is that he ended up in the AFC West because he's going against the ultimate weird beef coach, Sean Payton. The post-game interactions are going to be absolutely legendary between those two. He is probably the strangest coach we've got. And I'm so glad he's back in the NFL because of it, because I don't want these like anodyne, pretty boy McVay, they're just normal and only live and breathe football and never say anything interesting coaches. I want a guy who, makes weird allusions to Catholicism and like texts, like history stuff that doesn't make any sense. I want a guy who looks like he's about to have an aneurysm every time the ref makes a mistake. I want a guy who tucks all of his clothing in at once. I am so glad Jim Harbaugh is back in the NFL.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is Jim Harbaugh the truly, authentically, genuinely strangest person in the universe? Because, Mina, you're excited about this. The part I'm excited about, all these whiz kids losing to Harbaugh and Dan Campbell is funny. All the whiz kids who are bringing the new football to people and have Harbaugh and Dan Campbell like club them over the head because they're just strange and tough and they'll punch you in the face.
Well, the brilliance of Harbaugh and Campbell is they got whiz kids working underneath them, though. Dan Campbell's Lions. First of all, both of those coaches, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, I think are extraordinary. But Ben Johnson is the definition of a whiz kid offensive coordinator and is a huge reason why. And again, that's a credit to Campbell that he comes in as an offensive guy and he makes that right hire and he delegates correctly and he's an amazing leader and I love him as a coach. But it's not like, old school traditional football. I mean, Dan Campbell's like the most aggressive coach in the NFL right now when it comes to going for it, for example, which I think will be a big factor in this weekend's game. Same thing, with Harbaugh, I think, I talked about some of the coordinators, the coaches at Michigan, that guy who calls the defense is freaking amazing over there. And that's what, as we consider, like, again, Bill Belichick's possible undesirability, that's what you need out of a head coach. It's not just about like, let's bring in the best play caller. Can we bring in the guy who identifies the best play caller, who nurtures these young coaches? And those two guys have been very successful at doing so.